When the rainy season began, you can see what's happening now? When the rainy season began, all of that concrete dust, several inches of it on top of the building, started to do what? Turn into stone, into concrete, which then became what? Too heavy for the structure, and the building collapsed upon itself. When we're not doing what we need to be doing each and every day, that is when the roof caves in on us. You see? When we, as disciples of Jesus, choose intentionally every day to love God with all of our whole being and become one with God, when we as Christians sweep the roof of our souls and our bodies and our minds every day, the roof does not collapse in upon us, no matter what is going on in the world around us. When we are connected and intentional about the way we live our lives, we can handle no matter what the world brings to us. We can handle it. We have all the resources to do it. We have all the resources to do it. So, what is in you? If someone were to say again, the eyes are the window to the soul, what would your soul be saying to other people? If they were looking into your soul, what would they be seeing? Another story from Zig Ziglar's book, See You at the Top. There was an old man who was standing at the bank of a river, and he needed to get to the other side, and there was no bridge. The water was deep, the water was swift, the water was very cold, so the old man did not have the strength or the ability to cross it by foot. So he waited on the bank for a long, long time, waiting to ask someone to give him a ride across. Lo and behold, he looked up and there were several riders on horseback coming his way. And as each one came by, he just looked at them and he let them go. And finally, the last one that came by, he said, "Excuse me, sir, but I need a ride to get me across the river. Would you do so?" And the gentleman said, "Yes, come aboard." So they ride across the river and go to the other side. And the elderly gentleman then slides off the horse and starts to go on his way. But the gentleman on the horse says, "Excuse me, sir, but I noticed that you let a lot of other people go by before you asked me. Why did you choose me to take you across the river?" This is what he said. He said, "When I looked in your eyes, I saw a man of compassion and kindness. And I knew that if I asked you, you would grant me my request." So Thomas Jefferson thanked the man for the opportunity to take him across the river and rode on down to the White House to do his job and his work there. You see, it says a lot about the character of a human being when you look in their eyes and you just know. So, when people looked in the eyes of Jesus, it seems that there were a couple of different kinds of responses. Even though they may not have known who he was completely, they knew enough to ask for healing. They knew enough to make a spectacle of themselves if they had to get Jesus' attention. They knew they would climb a sycamore tree and designer Italian clothing, if that's what it took, to get Jesus' attention to go have lunch. They would, because when they looked into his eyes, they saw nothing but the love and the kindness of God. Or they could be people who saw that kindness and that love as a threat. And they were always trying to go against Jesus. And when they found they could not do it, this is what I think is the saddest thing about this passage, they dared not ask another question. What that tells me is they stopped learning before they encountered Jesus. And once they encountered Jesus, their curiosity stopped completely. And they stopped choosing to learn any more about God at all. 2,000 years ago, God paid it forward for humanity with Jesus on a cross. My Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It was the greatest example of unconditional love that has ever been shown. And this action that God took for humanity and paying it forward with his only Son is still affecting the world to this day. It's still inspiring me to this day. It still inspires you to this. But what did Jesus say? There's no greater love than what? To lay down your life for a friend, even if that friend is nailing you to a cross. Jesus could do this. Why? Because he used his mind and his wits, and he studied and he knew who God was. He knew his tradition. He knew the scriptures backwards and forwards. Why was Jesus able to do this? Because he knew in his heart and his soul who he was and what he was to do upon this earth. How was Jesus able to love those people who were even nailing him to a cross and murdering him so horribly? Because he was connected to his soul. He was one with himself and with God and all the world around him. And he was so full of love and compassion that truly he did not judge those who were murdering him, because he knew they didn't what? Understand what they were doing. God paid it forward through Jesus. I guess the question we need to ask ourselves now, as individuals and a congregation, is God paying it forward through you and through me? And when people look in our eyes, what is it that they see? And the best way for you to know that is to go home and look in the mirror and look at yourself square in the eye and ask the question, what do I see when I look at this person? God paid it forward for us, so we can pay it forward for the rest of God's world and all of God's children. Jennifer Harris is now going to continue the story.
Good morning. So, welcome to Stewardship Campaign 2008 Week 2. Woo! We got a few of the way. I'm telling you, by next Sunday, the whole place is going to be awake. I'm almost sure. Thank you very much to the right corner of the congregation. Today we're going to take a couple of minutes and continue our journey on being one with God through unconditional love, through unconditional forgiveness, and unconditional acceptance. And last week we had a chance to experience and accepted a challenge of what really unconditional love looks like by letting people know how thankful we are for all that they do for us, and that every single day who we are makes a difference. If you weren't here last Sunday and you want to see me after service, I'll give you a little packet of the Who I Am Makes a Difference cards. I heard some great stories of people that shared thanksgiving and love and really just how uplifting and wonderful that experience is. So as we embrace unconditional love and who I am makes a difference, today we're going to focus on unconditional forgiveness.